Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Good afternoon and welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. It's going to be open line here on this, fantastic Friday's edition of Talk Today. As I look at Susan in her red and black, I'm telling you, man, she's making it look Christmassy. She said, "Boy, you colorblind. That's not black, that's brown." Hey, all like town that goes around. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Keep my company. Share your thoughts with us. Let's, make it happen. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks again for joining us. Thanks to Miss Susan. I mean, it sounds absolutely fantastic. Almost like as if I'm in the studio. Sounds wonderful. Thank you so much. 894-98037, 1-800-534-TALK, 1-800-534-8255. If you're on YouTube, well, welcome. Hopefully you tune in that you can hear the radio, not necessarily see the radio. Changes the dynamic. It does indeed. And you can WhatsApp 925-3261. It's open line for this Friday's edition of Talk Today. God's willing, I'll be back on Monday. Have the excellent company of Mr. Loxley joining me then. But for now, it's you and the telephone or whatever device you use to call. It's Susan. And then, of course, it's me. So, three of us, we can make it happen. And then all of us listening and participating. If I may, off the bat, first, again, public extend our condolences to the family of the late Brother John Jefferson Sr. It is good to see the country show its deference to its leaders, show its deference to its elders, and, whether we're flying our flags at half-mast or whether we are having official state funerals or the like, let's as a country recognize that it's important to celebrate our people. And if I can say this, hopefully in a way that it conveys my utmost respect for all of us, we don't just wait until, the end. We try to, as they say, give them flowers while they can smell, while they can touch and taste and enjoy and say thanks and see the appreciation. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. You're probably like many of us, out and about, trying to keep up with the hustle and the bustle, recognizing that we all complain about the commercialization of Christmas and the like, but still, we, year after year, get caught up in it. It's good for the economy. It's good sometimes to show our appreciation for our loved ones, the new acquaintance, the new colleague who's come to the country, to that new family member who's just been welcomed. But sometimes it's not just about a token gesture, nor is it about some material display of immense wealth. It's about love. Let's go to the phones, 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. And let's see what we can do. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne, and welcome back.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador. Good afternoon to you, man. How are you?
I was on a vacation, must be.
Well, sometimes, one can be absent from work but still be present and accounted for, not necessarily being public but still being very much productive. So appreciate you remembering me.
Dwayne, I want to respond to one caller this morning in the record. He saying that what I said in the program that is untruthful. But I want to explain to this caller and to the general public in this island that since day one, I speak in public radio. Always I tell the truth. And always I was honest. And nobody ever called the radio station and said, and approve what I said is untruthful. Number one, when I said that the demonstration was almost 27 people, and that was correct. I said was some Caymanians, maybe 7, 8 Caymanians there in the demonstration, yes. And I said that Mr. Miller and Johan Maxim was there, and Mr. Lindsay, those hopeful for next election. It's truthful what I said because the video show them there. So there is politicians, hopeful politicians was there, and that's what I said in my call.
If I may ask of you though, let's speak to the issue of public demonstrations relative to public office. What is your view in relation to the democratic sort of display of people who may feel that a particular issue needs to be ventilated in such a way that it draws attention to principle and not so much maybe focusing on personalities, even if those personalities are egregious, offensive, boisterous, or whichever. Maybe firstly, do you think, as a maturing democracy, that our people, whether it's 2 people or 200, it may be only, as you say, 27, do you think that as a populace, the Caymanian voters in particular, are sufficiently convinced, courageous to go out and publicly stand with placards, to march, to protest in some form for something, against something?
Yeah, Dwayne, look, if that demonstration was like 500,000 people, at least you say there is representation to the Caymanian people there.
Right.
But when the demonstration, Dwayne, and I still, this is facts, there is videos show the amount of demonstration.
No, I hear you, but I don't want you to, you see, there are a lot of people who like back and forth, and that's fine, but for this instance, let's ask a question. Let's say it's 100 people, let's say it's 10 people. In the Cayman context, is that number a small number or a large number? For instance, if you were in Little Cayman and the population is 100 people, and you got 10 people at your meeting, you got 10% of the population. If you were in China and there are 2 billion people and you got 10%, well, you can get to the numbers that you're talking about. So as a percentage and as a physical number, do you think that in the Cayman context, is it the number, or is it the percentage, is it the people? What is your thoughts on that?
First, Dwayne, number one, who was there? This is the question. Was there political hopefuls with one MLA from the House? Was there 2 Cuban refugees, which I spoke to them personally? Number 3 was the lesbian and gay community was there, and I see them in my own eye, which nobody can deny that. I didn't deny there is Caymanians, which maybe 7, 8, 9 maybe. Maybe this woman, the organizer, those people who who organized this with the politician in the backstage. They
Right.
doing
But let me ask you a question then. In a sort of attempt at discourse, you ask who was there, but equally, is it important to ask who wasn't there? Maybe other people that we may consider to be, if you forgive the term, more prominent. People who may represent particular agencies or particular types of programming, and whether they're precluded from attending by their employer, maybe they themselves impose some sort of restriction because of perceptions and the like. But do you think who was there is as or more important than who wasn't there?
Yeah, you see, Dwayne, look, if we want to see this small minority demonstration, it's not representing the views of the Caymanian people, not representing. If we look at West Bay, 99% is supporters of the UDP candidates or UDP.
But how do you come to that percentage? 99%. I mean, not 9%, not 92%, not 81%, but 99%. I mean, have you done a very empirical study to say it's 99%? I mean,
let us say 90%.
No, let's say...
Is the West Bayers was there calling for resignation of any member of the House? No. Is there is one or two person from West Bay, those don't speak in West Bay people, don't speak in behalf of the Caymanian people, those don't represent Johan Maxim, don't represent the people of West Bay, don't represent the Caymanian people.
But is this a West Bay? I mean, you reference West Bay. Is this a West Bay issue? I mean, why the reference to West Bay?
No, I mean in general, there is no demonstration was representing not the majority of the Caymanian people, not the majority of the West Bay people. And you are calling in resignation of member of the House, elected member by thousands of people. Where the views of those thousands of people? Do you consider the views of those thousands of people?
But remember, right? Can I ask you? Remember, not long ago, in our conversation, you shared a view that you thought the governor, the commissioner of police, and you may have referenced other people, but those two in particular, they should also, resign. We should call for their resignation. Not that long ago, you made that public utterance. Was that representative of any significant percentage of any population, whether voters or otherwise?
I say my view at the time, but I said I was calling in the Caymanian people in general to call. If you go back in the record and listen back to what I said, I said the Caymanian people should call in the resignation of those two people because of what they take of allowing the merit of or to civil union or whatever you call it.
But I understand that. And I don't wish to, forgive me, but I understand that. But just as it was your, hopefully we have a safe, free and fair democracy that you can, call those two offices or high offices in our land, call and make that pronouncement. Should not 2 people or 27 people equally assemble and present their views if they do so in a civilized way? Now, one would ask, should they, anybody who wishes to demonstrate publicly, should they be required to get some sort of permission, or should they just be able to assemble in a public place? Now, if you want, I'm happy to engage you further. I know many people, find you, not an easiest pill to swallow. Me, I really don't mind. I have a good coconut water. You want to hang on and come back from the break and talk some more, or you okay for now?
I will hang out.
Okay, okay, man. Listen, let's have some fun, and who knows, maybe we'll make some friends. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
UCCI students, have you registered for classes in the spring 2021 semester? Class registration takes place until January 8th. Classes start January 11th. Spring into action. Visit ucci.edu.ky/myucci. Call 623-8224 or email admissions@ucci.edu.ky for more information.
This season, Vigoro is stocking something for everyone in our 2 garden centers. Christmas decorations, succulents, ceramics, blooms, orchids, garden sculptures and accessories, mobiles and garden furniture, water fountains and wall art, and even fairies for the little ones. Make it a Vigoro Christmas with a gift that will be treasured forever. Both garden centers will be open on Christmas Eve till 6 p.m. Merry Christmas from Vigoro.
Cybercrime happens online or through the technology we use every day. Anyone can be a victim of cybercrime, whether you are a young person being bullied or harassed online, or an older person or business who's been scammed out of money or personal data. Cybercrime is an issue that touches all of us. The Cayman Islands government has therefore created an online resource to help keep you cyber safe in an ever-changing world.
In online situations, it is better to be cyber safe than sorry. Learn now to protect yourself against cybercrime. Visit gov.ky/cybersafe.
Don't miss Fat Chance on Radio Cayman every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. starting November 18th until December 23rd, with a repeat of each week's episode airing every Saturday at 6:45 p.m. beginning on November 21st and ending on December 26th. Fat Chance. Fat Chance is a comedy everyone can relate to. Henpeck Dexter is back with his wife Corinne and his mother-in-law who is living with the couple. The universal theme is be careful what you wish for, as you just may get it.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. We do have, as we somewhat affectionately call him, Mr. Ambassador. Not from the Third World Song, but hey, thanks for holding on, Amjad. Good afternoon, man. Welcome back.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dwayne, again.
Yeah, man.
First, I want to say a very important issue. I notice about this small issue, small demonstration happened, that they hold a sign, and that sign written in it, time to cut the bush. This is a violent sign, and I think the police should investigate who wrote that sign, who printed, and who paid for that sign. Not one sign, is many of them, was many different people carrying that sign, calling for violence. That sign written in it, it's time to cut the bush, mean it's time to be violent against
not necessarily. Not. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and that is one word that can have different connotations. But sometimes when you cut the bush, like trimming the fat, sever the ties to something, there could be all sorts of ways. But I hear what you're saying, and maybe it's important for us. But even to that, if I could ask you, come back to the notion of people who feel that a particular view needs to be either supported or needs to be opposed, and they assemble and they say, listen, we're standing for this thing. It may be one person who's out there saying, you know what, for the next 5 days, I'm only going to have one meal. For someone saying that's a diet, others would say otherwise. But is this society sufficiently mature enough for people to feel confident that they can go and do that? If the democracy is healthy enough, they can be protected, they'll be given the requisite sort of space to do it? Or do you think that is something that if it was to happen, the rest of the society would say, look at those people there, well, they can't find something better to do? Where do you think we are in our development?
You see, Dwayne, our democracy here, pick and choose, it seems. Unfortunately, those people who come out to demonstrate, they never demonstrate before. When there is members of this house and the house before beat his wife and girlfriend and broke her foot,
right.
they never
But is it because then and now things are changing significantly globally? Maybe sometimes it is not to say that these acts are trivial, but sometimes what they say, this is a straw that breaks the camel's back, right? Sometimes something is so egregious, sometimes it's that last thing. Do you think that the timing of things now are making it such that people are getting to a point where they're saying, okay, at some point we need to have the courage and conviction to stand up? Is that what it is, you think, or is it back to the personalities?
It is politics.
Okay, let me ask you.
This issue happened. First, Mr. Bush never admit he hitting any woman. He never been convicted.
But let's not speak. I hear you, and forgive me for interrupting. But let's not speak again to the individual and the thing. Just generally speaking, is it then that you or others are either opposing the ability and the willingness, let's say the courage and conviction of people to publicly demonstrate, or are you saying, listen, if you're going to demonstrate, come out in droves, man, hundreds of you, come on out and this thing is important, so if you can't get more than 5,000, as you put it, 500, then let's not bother with it? Or is it that...
Dwayne, I am not against demonstration. I never say it is part of democracy to demonstrate.
Right, okay.
It is part of democracy to show your view, but in this country, I never see, for example, these political hopefuls come out and demonstrate when Caymanians are out of job. They are not getting jobs. Nobody are giving Caymanian jobs.
Okay, so let me
demonstrate.
Let me ask you then. Forgive me for using me as an example, but since it's easier for me to be accountable for me and responsible for me. So let's say me as the job I'm holding, if I say publicly to you and publicly say that A, B, or C, if His Excellency will forgive me, I say the governor or one of the elected ministers of cabinet, that person, should be doing this or shouldn't be doing that or should be, asked to resign or whichever. If I were to say something like that, right, the job that I hold, how do you think that would be perceived? Even if it was a legitimate, justified thing, do you think people would say, boy, finally he grew up here, or gee, I know he not have a job tomorrow? Who do you think he's saying that? I mean, where do you think that sort of comment would lead us?
I mean, Dwayne, in the end of the day, everything in life, everything in this life, we have to be honest to ourselves.
Right.
And
to damn self be true.
And speak truth, because truth always reveals. Unfortunately, in this island, people have hate to listening to the truth. And that's why sometimes when I express my opinion honestly, there is a lot of people may be upset.
Right,
And that's never stopped me from saying the truth, because if we tell lies, and we are giving example to the generation to come, to our kids, what is future we are making to our children. I have daughter who is Caymanian. She will live here. She will be here one day. Maybe she run for election. Maybe she be premier, or I don't know. If she interested in politics, I don't know. She is a smart child, very intelligent, always outspoken. That's what I grow her to be outspoken, to be honest. And we have to be honest to ourselves when there is a situation in this island that people are selfish. Hopeful politicians are selfish. They are pick and choose what they fight for, and they are just for themselves. They using every little thing. How many men and women are going this island every day? Every day, think. How many men are go and have argument with the woman? Why people are so interested? How much woman in this island being abused by husband and boyfriend and beaten and broken her hand?
But that's what I'm saying. Is it then that an issue like this finally gets to a point where people come to say, well, we need to do something. I agree with you. There are many, because of political expediency and opportunistic, they're parasites, right? They see something and they latch onto it because they take them forward. But because they're parasites, it can't be anything sustainable, So again, I ask you, where do you think the populace is in terms of publicly demonstrating for a just cause?
Yeah, I mean, Dwayne, the problem in this country is that the majority are silent. They don't speak because there is afraid, afraid to lose their job, afraid to, they done me so much. They fight me in my personal life. They fight me in my job, in my work, in my business, everything. They done everything they could. They deny my status. They carry me from my house, lock me 4 days and release me. They never say why they locked me. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it happened to me.
But did you make an appeal to the Ombudsman's office to have a review to make sure that if there was any...
I don't have no trust in anyone.
Fair enough. But if you haven't tried it, how do you know? Prove them wrong or prove them right.
I have no trust in no... You see, Dwayne, for example, you have this, I don't know what office and that office. And like, for example, I give you example. I complain about public transport system.
Right.
We have a director of public transport who not doing a good job because those drivers are they're doing some of the drivers. I'm not saying all the drivers.
I hear you. Let me interject 1 second. Okay. Take that particular issue that you have many times, probably justifiably so, put into the public domain. But what if, trying to defend him, right? But everybody's accountable to somebody. So what if him or others in that position are just following orders that come from somebody above, they're coming from somebody above, and we never really get and hold that person or entity that's truly accountable. Do we always pick the low-hanging fruit? Or are we prepared to hold accountable the people that should be? I'm Jed with the greatest respect. I always enjoy talking to you. I love us to get back and forth. But let's leave it there. Susan has that break to take. Sometimes I like to talk a little more, but we could pause, take a break. Thank you very much. And to our callers, great respect. We won't keep you long. We'll join you right after.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Paramount Carpet Cayman Brac pre-Christmas sale is back for 2 days only, Friday, December 18th and Saturday, 19th December. Save big with up to 50% off select carpet and tiles. Wall and floor tiles as low as $10 a box. Universal mats from as low as $5 a pair. And up to 15% off many more items. Paramount Carpet Cayman Brac pre-Christmas sale, Friday, December 18th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturday, December 19th, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Followed by the Children's Christmas Party at Spot Bay Park from 4 to 6 p.m. Paramount Carpet Cayman Brac, located at 342 Spot Bay Road. Call 948-2665.
We do a whole lot more than just cover your floor at Paramount Carpet.
Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor Square in Grand Harbor is Christmas ready with shelves full of Hallmark and shoebox greeting cards, Hallmark gifts, and designer brand name colognes for men and perfume sets for women. There's something for everyone on your gift list. Grand Harbor will be open on Christmas Eve till 10 p.m. and on Boxing Day from 10 to 6 p.m. Visit healthcarepharmacy.ky to refill and transfer prescriptions online. We care about your holidays and your health at Healthcare Pharmacy.
The holidays wouldn't be the same without a little boom. from Fireworks Limited. Cayman's biggest firework discount megastore is now open behind Massive Equipment in Industrial Park. Fireworks Limited has a megastore full of new fireworks and offers huge volume discounts. Stock up early and save big with free gifts with every purchase and the biggest variety of products on island. Fireworks Limited is behind Massive in Industrial Park with tons of parking.
Open until 6 p.m. every night and 9 p.m. on December 24th, 29th, and 31st.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for sharing with us. And thank you for calling as we go to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Blessed, blessed, blessed. And you?
Blessed, blessed,
Amen.
blessed. Glad to have you back, but just want to tell you something.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Singh did a very good job.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We think so too. Yes.
Yes. And I sometimes when it's a holiday, I get vexed with the radio because I don't remember it's a holiday. So I said, but why they not coming on? Why? I was vexed with OC when it was a public holiday, and then I realized, oh my goodness, I can't be vexed with my friend because it's a public holiday. But anyway, calling about what this gentleman is talking about. It does not matter how many out there was demonstrating. We want the matter to be looked at. I was there, and nobody called for violence. I was proud of the person or the persons who organized it. I thank her very much. I didn't know her that well, Tara E. Banks, but I thank her very much because we want for our representative to notice or to recognize that McKeever pleaded guilty. He should have resigned without any of this, without us asking him to. If he cares about the Cayman people, if he cares about the position that he holds in public office, he's a public figure. But no, he didn't. So we decide, or Ms. Tara decide, that she would go ahead with this. And it does not matter how many West Bears was there. He represents the whole island. And that wasn't the first time. But we have no proof of the other times, as was just talked, but we have proof of this time. The best thing for him to do is to resign. And we were shocked that the rest of the representatives, including the government, did nothing about it. And what does that show the people? Are we respected, or are we only respected when we have to put that X next year? Is it okay to verbally abuse a woman? Not only verbally, the conduct alone was enough. I wonder what has happened to all of the demonstrators that were standing on the LA steps last year, including the pastors of this island, against same-sex marriage. But is it okay to verbally abuse a woman? Is it okay to beat up a woman? It shows no respect for his wife, nor his late daughter, nor the rest of the women in this island. it shows no respect at all. So if he had any respect, he would resign and say, I call it quits today. The thing is, like I said, it does not matter how many people we had out there. What matters is that he is a public figure. He has been representing West Bay and the island. Once they represent district, you're representing the whole island. And the sad thing about it, the government that did nothing, nor the opposition that did nothing. I thank Mr. Ezzard for calling on him to resign. I thank him very much from the bottom of my heart, and I don't want to linger on this story too long, but it does not matter how much he did for West Bay, who he supported. He was wrong. He pleaded guilty, and pleading guilty is pleading guilty. So he was wrong.
Right.
So
well,
I'm not going to ding on this story too long, and I thank you for the time. And I want to say again, I love the songs that Susan plays in the morning.
Always.
Now it's Christmas songs. Or Mr. Lynn. I admire that. In fact, she had me going the other morning. I was dancing, and I got my exercise, too.
There you go. Well, you keep listening to us, man.
Yeah, I thank you again for listening to me. God bless you, and God bless you and your family and the rest of Radio Cayman. Thank you so much.
Thank you, too. Thank you. And with that, let's see if we can take another call before the news break. Hey, good afternoon, and welcome. Thanks for calling. Okay, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
And everybody there in the studio.
Hey, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. I want to thank you again for providing a venue for the community to be able to talk about what is going on in our country, and so much is going on. That is for sure. I definitely want to give a 1,000% agreement to every single word that I'm pretty sure that was Mr. Lean.
Some people recognize her voice here, but she did not identify herself here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I want to give that last caller to support what she was saying there. I was there at the demonstration as well, and I want to build upon what she said by saying that this is bigger than any single person at this point. This points to large-scale accountability across the board between the opposition, between the government, and all the alphabet soup type of political games they like to play between UDP and PPM and whatever. It is really all the same. There's only one letter that separates Alden and Arden, and anyone who's not paying attention to that right now really needs to catch up. We stood out there because we need to hold our politicians accountable, our elected employees accountable for their actions and for representing the Caymanian people. We stood out there because we do not believe in abuse of people and abuse of power. We stood out there and demonstrated because we want to see a brighter, more peaceful future full of opportunities for our children and future generations in Cayman. That is it, plain and simple. Mr. Amjad, I believe his name is, or the man who had called in before, I guess I should say. He called into OC show on Wednesday and basically told blatant lies about a number of things that happened in the demonstration, and it was apparently passing around a picture of me and Ray Farrington, who were out at the demonstration publicly supporting Tara and this stand against abuse by our elected officials, and was saying outright lies about people being hired by politicians to stand out there, and none of that is true. I want to just make that clear for the record that it was Caymanians who put this together, and Caymanians who stood next shoulder to shoulder with people from all different places, not just Cayman, but there were people out there who are on work permits who had their friends saying, I can't risk my work permit, I can't risk my status to come out there My wife came out there. Her status was currently in the works. We've been fighting for it and having to fight an uphill battle to get her recognized after the great value she has shown in our country and her Caymanian child in our Caymanian home that she is so amazingly represents. And we stood out there together. No one making excuses about why they weren't out there. No one showing any face or any which way. Everyone peaceful and wanting one thing, to hold our representatives accountable for what they do and to make sure that tomorrow is better in Cayman than today is.
If I can then ask of you, and I recognize that it's a situation that is very much in the public domain, as even though it's before the courts. Just maybe two things. First, is the call for resignation as Speaker or as a representative, as we call it now, the Member of Parliament? Is that there's some messages asking, they're confused. What is the resignation call for?
We believe he should step down from assisting to run the country entirely. I mean, most definitely as Speaker.
Yeah, but I mean,
the common belief among people who are standing up against this is that it seems like he has other things to deal with on a personal level. I'm not going to be the judge of any of that.
Right.
We'll have our own things to deal with. But I've had my own times where I need to take time off of work because there is work-life balance things that need to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
There are personal things that need to be addressed. I'm sure many, many people have gone through similar things.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he's going through a similar thing right now in his own way. It just so happens that he represents our country. And
but is this the challenge then that
our elected employee?
For some reason,
bosses, right?
Yeah. For some reason, there are people in this country that have the utmost love and respect for him, and there are some that have the greatest vile and disdain. So is this an issue of personality that is driving people to oppose, or is this an issue of principle?
I want to make this. I want to make this really clear because you're bringing up a very good point here. This is not about him as a person. This is not a revenge tactic or a vendetta. Okay, that is why I'm making it perfectly clear that this goes beyond any one individual and into the idea and the putting forth that general accountability to the people is what this is about.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have told him, Mr. Bush, directly to him, I make no fronts in any which way about some of the positive things that he has done and contributed to this country.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and that is never to be taken away from anyone. Right. However, our role is not to judge good versus bad versus good, or anything.
Right. Well, I hear you, man, and you're gonna have to forgive me because if we're left to me, we'll talk forever. But if I realize where we are, we have the news break. Let's do that. When we come back, maybe we can pose some questions that have been asked of us. Let's see what we can do. Stay tuned, please, for talk.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Affectionately called Chef John, Mr. Jefferson passed away on Saturday and will receive an official funeral as a result of his service as a legislator. The official funeral service will take place at 2 p.m. at Wesleyan Holiness Church in West Bay tomorrow, December 19th, with the interment to follow at the West Bay Cemetery. The church service will air live on CIG TV, YouTube only. In international news, the U.S. Energy Department is the latest agency to confirm it has been breached in what is being described as the worst ever hack on the U.S. government. The department is responsible for managing U.S. nuclear weapons, but said the arsenal's security had not been compromised. A gang of fraudsters who won their way into women's hearts, sea captains and military personnel, has been broken up after a 3-year operation, Italian police say. Operation Casanova targeted 19 suspects behind an online dating scam in which victims were promised love and marriage but ended up losing money. One victim lost $1.6 million, while others gave away family homes. Jeremy Bullock, the British actor who played the character Boba Fett in the original Star Wars trilogy, has died aged 75. His agent confirmed in a statement to CNN that Bullock passed away on Thursday, December 17th, following his many years living with Parkinson's disease. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for calling. This open line. You can shout and share your thoughts with us on 949-8037. Or you can dial toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. Let's go to the phones again. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Dwayne.
Hey, Brother G, what's up, man?
I'm all right. Listen, first of all, I want people to know who's calling because some people call and they have a voice. And then my name is George Ebanks.
George R. Ebanks.
George R.
There you go.
Number two, I want people to know that I have been friends for a long, long time with William McKeever Bush.
Mm-hmm.
So you can write that down. We are good friends, and always I give my friends the benefit of the doubt. Number two is this. There was a trial held recently, well, it's not over yet, and I'm not going to say a lot because I did see some of the stuff. A lot of these people who calling in, they haven't seen one scintilla of the video or no evidence, and they're basing it on either on momentum, which is kind of gaining currency within the community, like everybody's beating on the honorable speaker because he is the speaker of our parliament, and he's an outstanding gentleman. An outstanding citizen.
So the court of public opinion is prevailing.
They can write that down too. Yes, he is now went to a legal body, and is being adjudicated there, and now the court of public opinion has now taken on a currency of its own, and they're saying, okay, but this is what I want done. I want him stripped and taken to Hero Square. And flogged in the middle of the square because that pleases me. And then the other person calls up and says, this pleases me, so I have this to say. And next thing, I want his head on a platter because that pleases me. Listen, this thing has got to stop. McKeever Bush is my friend, and I'm sick of hearing people calling in, castigating him, without knowing the facts. He had a business, or a family member had a business down there on the West Road. He has a right to go and check out something that he thought was going on, which is not right. And as I said, the case is still before the judge, so I'm not gonna put myself in no difficulty by repeating facts of evidence that was in the trial. And so his day will come. His day will come, and he's free to speak as well. So I'm not gonna speak for him because he's a very good speaker, better than me. But I want people to know he's my friend, and I stand with my friends all the time, and I'm not condoning no violence against no woman, but I can tell you what, there's two sides to every story.
Well, sometimes three, right?
And sometimes three. And when a man is provoked, yes, and especially if he has a youth, and especially if he's been out with some friends drinking, and he's in a party mood, and someone agitates him, a person may reach their maximum level of patience sooner than what they ought to, and I'm sure he probably wished he had went straight home that night too. But there's two sides to every story.
Right, but let me then ask them.
And so when the people talk about verbal abuse and physical abuse, there's no such thing on before the courts as real evidence. This is just what people think they saw or hear somebody say they saw. You got to go by what is before the real body.
Okay, so let's
that will have to judge right and wrong.
Right. So George, let's
before you broke my train of thought, a judge can only look at the evidence.
Right.
I mean, it was Shakespeare himself in Macbeth, one of the acts that said the law can be an ass.
Right. So I don't want to change your train of thought, right?
Perhaps what the judge will rule eventually. And again, I hope I'm not getting into
No. But let me help you. What I'm saying to you, right, so that we don't look at anything as sub judice. When it comes to public figures, so MLAs, or as now they're called MPs, but also judges and other, is it then that in our society we tend to be more inclined to say hit out at some public officials, say the MLAs, but the conduct of, say, certain judges were for some reason either afraid or heavily encouraged not to say anything? So the judge who has had a fracas, whether drunk driving and gets into an accident or has had someone anything else, we seem to have different standards for different public offices. Is that an issue that we as a people are ignoring?
That could be a debate for another day, but certainly I think that we need to have standards as a public life. But certainly there's two sides to every story, and people should be calling in based on real facts, which is before a legal body.
But let me then ask you, right?
And not something that they believe, or
George?
something that they perceive in their mind
Right.
that actually occurred.
But let me then ask you, in this particular instance, right, why is it that a matter before the court, we seem to be inclined to want to talk about it more readily and have public commentary, as opposed to other matters before the court? Again, go back to other public officials who may be before the court for similar acts. Let's say, as an example, let's say there was a lawyer, a high-ranking lawyer in partnership, whether for himself or in with others, is before the courts for some alleged abusive act or physical misconduct or something. We don't see, or have we seen any sort of protests against that? So why is it that some attract one level of vitriol and others seem to be given a blind eye?
Listen, and that's why I called it today.
Mm.
I knew my good friend McKeeba Bush when he first ran for Parliament. In fact, I was his campaign manager with him and Mr. Benson and Ms. Daphne. I was the campaign manager for them in West Bay. I know McKeeba Bush from when he was struggling, and he used to have a lawn mowing company and used to do the contract at the airport. And listen, the man has come a long way. Now everybody wants to chop him off at the knees, but before they chop him off at the knees, I want them to know he has friends, and one of those friends is this person who's calling in right now. And I will fight tooth and nail for right and wrong, but we need to make sure that when we are talking about somebody, that we have evidence and not just hearsay.
Right. But George, if I then could then ask you then, with that in mind, and given the nature of not just allocation, but the nature of the office, so high public office, as an example, we saw during the earlier months of the year, political leaders in other countries, offending the regulations in their country relative to movement, and as a result, they resigned their offices, whether it was in Europe, whether it was in the region, and the like. In the Cayman context, do you think that political leadership and public leadership, that when behaviors occur, that the person should automatically, as of a matter of course, step aside? Should the political leadership, the premier, for instance, or since we're still a little colony, the governor's office say to the people, listen, to preserve the integrity of the office, you need to step aside. No, do you think that should be a matter of course, or what is your view on that?
Yes, I wish the world could be reset and you have strict protocols. Mm-hmm. But really, these days, I don't know what's going on, because look at the most powerful man in the world when it comes to country and presidency, the man who's occupying the White House right now. 27,000 plus lies, outright lies. Mm-hmm. He's told since he's been in office. Not much coherent about that. The the man and his family set up a charity, and then took money out of that charity and was banned in the state of New York from ever having any dealings with a charity. So if you were to extrapolate what you just said and what people are calling and saying, Donald Trump should resign too because he stole money from his own charity.
Right.
So it depends on the scale of what is done, but I think this issue about going down at Coral Beach and what occurred there's two sides to every story, and there's more that has been not said than what has been said.
Well,
and there's more facts as to what caused it that has not come out, and probably will come out at some point in time. But we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait on that, and I want people to know that I don't like when we beat up on us K-miners, beat up on K-miners, but more so when the person is a good friend of mine, and I'm sure he has other friends as well, but he seems to have a lot of enemies as well. But the friends have chosen not to call him so far, but I'm calling him today to say he's a friend of mine, and there's more to the story that has been said. And men can get provoked, and you have some women out there that they know how to push the wrong buttons on their male counterparts. And for some reason, we in the Caribbean, us men, we can have a short fuse, and we can only tolerate so much nonsense. But there's a lot of good and bad to the story, and not everything that is wrong is on the if you divide the ring in half, not all the wrongs is standing in Makiba's corner.
Well, this is, as you shared, one of those things where, despite it being before the courts, we seem to have weighed in heavily in the public, court of opinion. George, thanks for doing that. And maybe it is politics and personalities, or maybe it's something to do with principle and conviction. But let's see where that leads us. George boy, thanks for the time, man.
Okay, before I go.
Yeah, man. Go ahead.
Before I go, I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas. Listen, we've been through a difficult year, but we are the most resilient little gem in the Caribbean, and we are coming back strong, and we're gonna be fully back on our feet in the first quarter of next year. And I am so proud that we have a finance minister like Roy McTaggart and a chief financial secretary like Mr. Ken Jefferson. I am comfortable to know that we are in good hands financially, and we have a good, stable government. And Makiba Bush is my friend. That's how I started, and that's how I want to end.
Yeah,
He's my friend, and I hate when people tell lies on my friends. And there's a lot of lies being told on him when people calling him with no facts.
All right, George. Thanks for that, man. And with that, let's pause quickly and take a short break. But when we come back, we'll talk today.
It is the season of giving, and there is no better place to shop than Penha, Mac, and Victoria's Secret. Amazing savings on already low prices, and when you sign up for the Penha loyalty card, you get 3% back on all your purchases. And while you shop, enter raffles to win major prizes up to $5,000. Penha, Mac, and Victoria's Secret on 40 Cardinal Avenue in Georgetown.
Do you remember when 2020 was great?
I don't think it was...
2020 vision, not the year.
Right.
Make 2020 great again with Optical Outlook, the new West Bay store now open. With their designer frames and sunglasses, eye health has never looked so good. Call 746-2020 and book your eye exam today at Caymanian Village and now at Jake Scott Plaza in West Bay, offering premier eye care in Cayman for over 30 years. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook.
Your Radio Cayman 7 a.m. news, brought to you by Cayman National, proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974. Visit www.caymannational.com for up-to-date information for all your financial needs and follow us on social media.
System 1 loaded.
For the record, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings from 7:30 to 9:30, we interview the various government ministers, opposition, and Cayman Island legislators. For the record is brought to you by West Bay Pharmacy at Centennial Towers. Visit us today for fast, efficient, and professional service. Everything you need and the hours you need it at West Bay Pharmacy.
Does it feel like the only thing from 2020 that has gone back to normal is the traffic?
Green Turtle has your holiday solution. Download the Green Turtle app, offering home deliveries of groceries, gift cards, courier service, laptops, tablets, phone, and accessories. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can also top up your loved one's phone in any destination. It's a very Merry Christmas from Green Turtle. Green Turtle is the future of mobile. Download the new Green Turtle app and enter for a chance to win a new iPhone 12. Puritan Cleaners and Daco Water Specialties would like to take this opportunity to thank all our customers for their continued patronage over the years. Puritan Cleaners, Savannah Countryside, Elgin Avenue, and Eastern Avenue drive-through Rain or Shine will close on the 24th of December at 5 p.m. and reopen on December 29th at 7:30 a.m. All 3 stores will close again at 5 p.m. on 31st December and reopen for business as usual on January 2nd, 2021 at 7:30 a.m. Phone 949-7104. Merry Christmas and a healthy and prosperous 2021 from the management and staff of Puritan Cleaners. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for calling. It is indeed an open line segment here on Talk Today as we invite your calls. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
My friend.
This is Billy Sinamba here. How are you today? It's good to have you back.
Yes, man. I'm glad that I get a couple of days off, even though I'm not on the air. I still feel part of the process. So good to hear from you.
That's good. Well, there's so much that has happened this week, so really there isn't time to discuss everything. But I thought I should begin with something that you already touched on with the previous caller, which is like discussing things that are already in court.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I just want to make sure that maybe you've got a bit of a smooth transition, but also because it relates to what I'm calling about. You see, Brian, there is never a total prohibition, and I think everybody knows this. There is never a total prohibition against discussing anything that is in court.
Mm-hmm.
What the Constitution guarantees, it says, look, if you are going to talk about things that are in court, you should not talk about them I'm paraphrasing here.
Right.
You should not talk about them in a manner that prejudices somebody who is involved in that case, particularly in criminal cases.
Mm.
You should also not talk in a manner that might affect the independence of the judiciary. In fact, the Constitution specifically says that the freedom of speech shall be enjoyed, but shall be enjoyed only to the extent that it respects the independence of the courts.
Mm.
What that means in practice is that you can talk about matters that are in court, particularly if they are civil matters, just like a newspaper will report. They might say, well, this person is charged with this offense, and the allegation is as follows. In a civil matter, you might say, well, this is what the suit says, this is what the defense is, and these are the issues. Look at what they do in the States. a thing is filed, but they'll get on radio and TV and talk about just the pros and cons in a careful way. For example, you can't say, this judge, if he finds that person not guilty, then it means this judge is not doing his job. You can't do that because that's now contempt. You are trying to put pressure on the judge. So that's the first point I wanted to mention. But in relation to what I called indirectly, there's a lawyer who often appears on Radio Cayman and other shows as well. I won't mention his name, but he has mentioned something that has piqued my attention. He talks about going to court and how two different people, his client and the client of somebody else, were treated differently on the same charge. The one client pleaded guilty to a DUI, and the license was suspended straight away. Although there was a social inquiry report which was requested. But in another case, there is a racial component to this, but I won't get too brazen about that. In the other case, what happened was that the person also pleaded guilty to a DUI, and the license was not suspended. They said, well, it's adjourned to, although she has pleaded guilty, it's adjourned to January, so that this person will be driving during even the festive season. Now, okay, there's the issue of unfairness of that. But more importantly also is that what do you do about an issue like that? Now, there are provisions under the Constitution and which allow for complaints against judges. Okay? But the problem in the Cayman Islands, and this is my principal point, those systems do not work. You will recall, for example, in 2009, when the Constitution was enacted, the current Constitution, you could complain against a judge to the Judicial and Legal Services Commission. In fact, there were some complaints, most of them were unsuccessful, and they do appear in the report for that body from about up to about 2015 or thereabouts. But the Constitution was amended, and they said, okay, no. We don't want issues, for example, relating to judges to go directly to the Judicial and Legal Services Commission. They should go to the Chief Justice. The Judicial and Legal Services Commission should be involved only in narrow cases. And that practically killed the whole efficacy of that process. And I can tell you about my own matter. I won't get into too much detail and so on. It's about the judge I've sued. I've already said why I've sued the judge. Having complained to the governor, the governor basically has said he is very concerned about the allegations, since especially that they are supported by documents. He's very concerned, and the Attorney General has also said the same because they filed a joint response. But having said that, they said, well, but you need to go and just sue you need to go to court and just sue the government about that. Now, I said, okay, fine. I sued the government, but the problem that I'm facing in suing the government are now underlining why it is important to ensure that the complaint procedure, which is an administrative procedure, should work well. But for that, I'll just say two things. I went before this judge, and this judge basically refused to order the Attorney General to deliver a response to my allegation within a certain number of days. He just refused to do that. And then the judge that I have sued, he was supposed to respond in 14 days. We are now somewhere around 32 days, hasn't responded. Again, I can go to court and apply for a judgment in default. It's not impossible to get, but very hard to get because I'm going to the very court in which this judge works. Do you see? And the reason I'm emphasizing that, Dwayne, is this is very important for the public, is that, you see, that is why the complaint procedure has to work well, because when they design complaint procedures all over the world, they understand that you will always run into that problem if they ask you to sue instead. So in this particular case, in my view, and I want to say this, I don't want to sound as if I'm flying off the handle. I think the way in which the Attorney General and the Governor have handled my matter of a complaint, having admitted that there are serious and documented allegations, they having said, well, no, just go to court. To me, they are facilitators and enablers of misconduct in the judiciary. In other countries, what they would do, they would, if the complaint is good, like it looks like there's something to be investigated, they would carry out, the appointing authority would carry out a preliminary investigation to find out, is there something here? If they find it's totally frivolous and vexatious, then dismiss it. But if they find that there is something which needs to be investigated, then they refer it to the Judicial and Legal Services Commission. And to me, despite all the strong evidence I've provided, the governor has refused just to refer it to the Judicial and Legal Services Commission, which does not mean the judge will be dismissed. It does not even mean that he will necessarily be disciplined. It just means that there is something to investigate. And it seems to me, once you've already admitted that the allegations are serious, especially with the documents you've seen, to me it seems like you have already met the threshold for as to whether the matter ought to be investigated, which is the threshold provided under the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that there is a need. This particular lawyer also, when he called, he said that the legislator needs to look at this issue of the role of the Judicial and Legal Services Commission regarding this matter.
Mm-hmm.
But let me try to wind up on. There's a couple of other things which are a little bit of a problem. You know, let me go on to the issue. You know, the case involving Cayman Mile Road.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I think that the truth, Dwayne, is now coming under attack in the Cayman Islands. Now, let me mention just two cases, both relating to that publication. There was the criminal case which has just ended. We can now discuss it a little bit more freely. It has been decided that if you say something like persistently about somebody, even if you are not sending them direct messages, even if it's just like in the form of a podcast, which was the case in this matter, they said it can amount to harassment of that party, regardless of whether or not that party, what you are saying is the truth. And it was actually admitted in the case that this offense doesn't exist even in the UK, where they can be very good at inventing funny offenses. It doesn't exist. And to me, the way the judge had handled that, I think he handled it poorly. He made mistakes about statutory interpretation. He made mistakes about application of the Constitution. Because if I go to that case now and I ask what is the rule, in what case can I be prosecuted for the truth, and in what cases can I be not be prosecuted for the truth? There is no legal principle coming out of it, and I hope I can write something which I can publish on that issue so that it can engage the public.
Yeah.
Then the other thing also, you find the same Cayman Mile Road. You remember some time back it reported that a certain person had been charged with a firearm offense, and then it published a story, and then that person sued for defamation. When it went to court, the other side applied for an injunction, and Cayman Mile Road said, well, how can you give me an injunction when I've published the truth? Here are the documents, you can confirm with them with the DPP and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the judge still decided that you should bring it down. So in other words, these two cases are showing that the truth now is no longer something which, as the Bible says, which will set you free. Okay, it is that you can still get prosecuted even if you are telling the truth. And I think there is a need for legal reform around these issues. Incidentally, the judge who gave the injunction in this case, this is very injunction you can't explain. It's the same judge I'm suing. So in my view, I think it's problematic. Last little point on the Legal Services Bill, if we've got time.
Mm-hmm.
Legal Services Bill has got a number of technical issues. For me, the problem with the Legal Services Bill is twofold. One, there are the specific issues that, in my view, have been very, very unfair to local attorneys, and I am one local attorney. But also, to me, it calls into question the whole basic legislative process. How do you go to the House as a government? You introduce, I don't know how many amendments it was, about 50 or so.
Mm-hmm.
How does the government do that in committee? It means that it wasn't properly consulted. In other countries, they make it very, very clear that you should only bring to committee things that might not have been foreseen. But the problem is because the process was not right. And they just went to the House, not having gotten consensus from people. Basically, they got only really the position of SILPA and not the position of ALPA. and then they decided they are going to enact the legislation.
Mhm.
There is a problem there. One of the biggest issues, which when Sammy Jackson and Teresa Pitkin were on your show, they said, you see, look, this allowing people in the UK and other places to be registered as attorneys here without any knowledge necessarily of the local situation, without any proper training, apart from paying $2,000, which they want to say now, let's make it $5,000. It amounts to outsourcing, which is what killed the U.S. economy.
Mhm.
That is an issue in which in the UK they would do what is called an RIA. It is called a regulatory impact assessment. They would go into that issue. Okay, let me back up a little bit. You see, because the argument has been that, well, unless you do that, Cayman won't be competitive because clients all over the world want to deal with people in real time. So if you can have people doing Cayman law in Cayman, in Hong Kong, and so on, it's better. But they didn't come up with any evidence to show, for example, that if you are practicing in financial services in the UK, a Caribbean, Asian, or American attorney can be registered externally. They haven't shown anywhere where this is done. And they haven't even shown anything to show in terms of figures to be able to show that this is actually something which is real rather than something which is merely scare tactics. They haven't done that. And I think ultimately what this has shown, we don't have accountable government in Cayman because ultimately the premier says, well, you people now are getting used to losing and you are going to lose. And then the leader of the opposition also did the wrong thing by withdrawing all the amendments. He should have allowed them to be debated, even if it took 2 or 3 days, so that everything could go on the record.
Right. That's true, yeah, for future reference, right? Thank you very much for sharing that and respectful. Let's pause, take a break. To the other callers, we'll join you after. Thank you for being patient. Stay tuned for Talk Today. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for sharing with us as we go straight to our phones. And again, our appreciation for your patience for holding on and participating. Hey, good afternoon and welcome.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Merry Christmas.
Same to you all. The caller that just got off the line, he was so enlightening and educational. It's unbelievable.
I know, huh?
Anyway, I really did not mind that way, but I'd like to wish, the entire listening audience right across the 3 islands, a healthy, happy, safe, and prosperous Christmas and all the best in the upcoming new year.
Amen. Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't usually call into the talk shows, but I felt the need and urgency to do so today.
Well, thank you.
The caller, George Ebine. That man that was on the radio just now, he sounded completely ignorant, number one. And number two, if he was Makiba Bush's friend, knowing what Makiba Bush did was wrong, he, being a friend, needs to step forward and say, Big Mac, Makiba, friend, whatever he want to call him, you were wrong, okay? His arrogance and ignorance on the radio just now, that Makiba has friends that will this for him and that for him, I just want to say, God help the women in their households, because his ignorance on the radio just now tells the entire listening public the abuse that go on. It also sends a message to our sons, our brothers, and all our young men that it's okay to abuse a woman, and that's wrong on every level. Okay? So George should be ashamed of himself with the way in which he conducted himself on the radio just now, and all the stupidity that he went on with, rambling about. Anyway, Mr. Ebine, enjoy the remainder of your day. And like I said, I don't usually call the talk shows, but I felt the urgency to call and speak out about what George just did on the radio and condemn what Makiba Bush did, because it's wrong. And that just goes to show all of them that have that mentality that George just expressed on the radio, all of the skeletons that are in their closet. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the weekend and all the best for the Christmas holidays.
Thank you too, and a safe, blessed, and happy, joyous Christmas to you too. Thanks again. Huh? Hopefully we'll get to hear from you more as the days and the months go on. Don't be put off by calling now and again. Call as much as you want. All right.
Thank you.
All right. All the best. This is what I love about our country, that growing increasingly we are getting to a point where we're not feeling as fearful to say our piece, whether we're on one side of the fence or the next. Hopefully we won't allow those in high office, whether it's judicially appointed, politically appointed, or as a nominated or elected or otherwise, that we see things and we are prepared to call it out. But equally, we're also willing to stand if we're the only ones where we believe, what is it they say in law? An injurious falsehood has been committed. Whether you feel, an injustice is also being heaped upon others. We stand in the corner of what we think is right. We always joke and jest and say there are 3 sides to the story, yours, mine, and the truth. Well, let's see if we can always come down on the side of the truth. The challenge, though, is that we make judgments and pronouncements. We say and suggest things without fully being informed, and many times without even recognizing it is emotionally charged. So the emotive side comes through. But at the end of the day, though, I always come back to the whole question. Where is that sort of justice-centric approach? Where is truth and justice in what we do and say? Look right now what is happening globally. The push, and I use that word deliberately, but that's how it seems, the push by many to persuade, convince, sometimes I would say even force people to take a vaccine. We've heard the joke, right? We've heard the joke. I'm sure if I heard it, you've all heard, we are being made, compulsory, mandatory for us to take a vaccine that is so safe for a disease that is so dangerous and deadly that you have to be tested. Words to the effect as an attempt to make jest of the situation. But when you analyze it, is it that we're seeing, every single place say the same thing almost in the same way, and that may amount to some as propaganda, to others as a marketing campaign, just like any other advertiser would do in relation to trying to drum up support and sales for its product or service? Is it that we have come to a point in our place that we no longer have trust and confidence in our leadership, and the notion that we don't always, have that level of trust and confidence in leadership, or medical leadership, or political leadership, or ecclesiastical leadership, or political leadership? Let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mom. How are you today?
I am well.
Oh, glad to hear that. Hope tomorrow is even a better day.
Thank you. I listened to the last about 3 callers,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems to me like the conversation that is in the air and being addressed is an issue or a matter of slander and libel. And I want you to help me or...
Well, can I then ask you, because I struggled just then to hear exactly. I don't know if it's my phone, if it's yours on speaker, whether you were at the Legislative Assembly and a lot of wind is blowing. Is there a way we can make some adjustments there on your end, perhaps? Start with that?
Yeah, I just did.
Okay. Thank you for being so gracious.
Once a year.
All right.
So you said talking about slander and libel, I think their conversations were leading toward slander, libel, etc., etc.
Defamation.
And my understanding of slander and libel is that you really have no protection by knowing the truth, by having the evidence of the truth, by having the evidence of witnesses. You don't have any protection.
Well,
because all you're going to hear, what you're going to hear is this, okay, that is, oh, yeah, Mr. So-and-so. Yeah, that's him. That's a blow. And, yeah, he said a bad word too. And then that's where it stops, because there's still the issue of, that's the libel, but there's still the issue of slander. That's what they get you on, it's not libel.
Well,
people used to learn people that go to court.
Yeah.
Lies, judges are used to hearing that.
Right.
So it's not a big thing.
And now, the whole sort of thing is defamation.
Right. I could be very, very wrong, but I've held that belief for over 20 years.
Yeah. Well, here's my here's my understanding. It's the act of defamation, and then if it's written form, it's libel. If it's spoken, it's slander, and presumably the defense to defamation is the truth. So you may say something about someone, or you may write it, print it, some format, and it could be a very offensive, horrible thing to say or to write. But if it's the truth, you say that person stole money from the employer and was sentenced to, 6 years in prison, got it after 4, and lost the job and family and, all sorts of things. As horrible as it may be and offensive as it may be and upsetting, if it's the truth, then, that's a defense. But if I can then ask of you, are we hearing increasingly that seemingly there's a growing concern that even if you speak the truth about something, that itself is not a protection anymore? Is that...
No, I don't think it ever was a protection. It's just that the common folks didn't know. The common folks believe that, if I have the evidence, I'm right, and the courts are going to see that I'm right.
Okay.
The courts see only one thing, that the law is both a shield and a sword each time.
Right. Well, I'll share this with you. A lawyer, I don't believe the lawyer is any longer in this jurisdiction. Don't know how long that lawyer practiced in the Cayman jurisdiction. But came here from elsewhere and was here for a while. And a discussion once long ago said to me that the court, this is a lawyer, practicing lawyer, admitted to the bar to practice here, said the court doesn't really concern itself with the truth. It's just about evidence.
The argument.
Yeah. So to what you were saying, if information and evidence isn't presented to the court when a decision is being made either by the judge or the jury, it may not necessarily be the truth. It is what they have to make a judgment on based on the evidence that's presented. So I can see where there's a bit of a concern. But do you then think too that in the what we call loosely the court of public opinion, sometimes the truth maybe get a little bit amplified, or it maybe get in a little bit, pushed in a certain way that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So how do we balance that then? How do we balance?
No. That's about my pay grade. And I think that you're closer to the people who could do something about that. I mean, for the average, what they call the standard man, the average man.
Mm-hmm.
I know that is very disconcerting, and it causes people to lose hope, to lose heart,
trust and confidence.
Nothing that I could, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing that I could do will bring me justice.
Well, then,
and it's something that really I don't know what in the world, because I mean that's a standard in law,
mm-hmm.
and anywhere in the world. I mean, at least in the free world, the so-called democratic world, that's their standard. It, like I said, I don't think the judge really cares about this, that, or the next.
Well, let me ask you then, all right?
And what is the principle?
Let me ask a question, and you can answer and weigh in if you wish, but just a question. Sometimes we read. I say read because I prefer to read than to watch, the one I want stuff. But let's say we read in a newspaper report of a case in court, and it could be a traffic-related case, and the judge says no offense recorded, or the reporting publication says, well, we're not going to publish the name of this person. But in a seemingly very similar case, the name of the person is reported, the conviction is recorded.
Subjectivity, corruption, what you call that one is nepotism, cronyism.
Some sort of ism. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, but then
that's all that is.
Okay, well,
I know if I walk out my door and fall down, they can print all the pictures of my cut over my head.
What was it? The Calypso song, if a woman, the breeze blow up a woman dress, read about it all in the foreign press. I know. So let's.
To be honest, I would like some ventilation on that issue, and I would be so glad. And I'm almost sure he's still listening. If Mr. S would call back and ventilate that for me, because that's my belief. Anybody that I talk to that should know better.
Yeah.
Tells me that I'm exactly on target.
Right.
I want to know, and I really trust what he has to say.
Yeah.
So if you know the call back.
All right. Well, thank you for listening and for sharing, because I think we all have questions and concerns. We always seem to want, to know and do the right thing. So thank you very much, okay?
I don't want to be so politically lazy. Thank you. Yes, sir. Have a good day.
You too. Blessings to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, let's pause quickly and take a short break. When we come back, well, why don't you call and share your thoughts with us? Stay tuned for Talk Today. Afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us. It is Open Line here on Talk Today on this fantastic Friday. Yeah, I know some of you like me would like to be elsewhere and doing something else, but like me, I'm enjoying where I'm at, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Hopefully I'm also gracious. Well, share with us your thoughts. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255 if you're out and about. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're safe. If you're able to listen in and call, but thank you equally for that. But what's on your mind? And what is it about this particular time that is important? Not just this time in relation to it being Christmas, but this time in the sense that it is 2020. And when you would go to your optometrist, they would say, 2020 vision, that was a good thing, right? Well, is it because now, in hindsight, it is 2020? Where are we now? And where are we heading? And where is it that we want to be? And where do you think we're going to end up? Well, share your thoughts with us. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. I invite you to share as much as possible with each other. Enjoy the food, the fun, the fellowship, and the family. Please do so in a very responsible, civilized way. If you are a person in a position of authority, whether you're a uniformed member of, some of the government agencies, the police or others, whether you're, registered or in some other capacity, whether you're contracted as a security officer, just be respectful of authority, both in the exercise of it and also as citizens and following the instructions and directions. And let's see if we can, make this Christmas excellent, safe, very happy, healthy one. Go to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon. Hi. So I'm just responding. You had a female caller on earlier that was responding to another caller, and I think she referred to him as George.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to, reinforce what she said. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was in really bad taste, George's comments. Again, I don't know the guy, but certainly wrong is wrong. And I think what Makiba did was absolutely wrong. And there is nothing anyone can say to support hitting a woman, but not just hitting, going after her and continuing the violence. It's just absolutely unacceptable. So that's all I actually wanted to say.
Well, thank you for sharing your perspective and enjoy your afternoon and all the best to you for the Christmas. And this is perhaps the key thing that maybe our society is now finally coming to grips with, is that people are seeing things, but equally are we also seeing the triggers for certain things? And is it that for so long we've seen in our society, or at least labeled on the perception that, what is it they say? Cases go by favors. Some people can do certain things and nothing happens, and other people, they can't, look, as I say, too hard in one direction. But it comes back to what I believe some of you have shared, the growing lack, of trust and confidence that we have in the systems of governance, of the justice system, of rehabilitation, of policy, of the people themselves who are either been appointed or entrusted with the power of those particular positions. Is it that they are self-serving and then they each come, and draw alongside? During the break, someone sent me something, and perhaps it would be an opportune time. They say, share it if you wish. So let me just read it and tell me what you think. We're going to go to our news in a second, but they said so they found this online somewhere. It says, when plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men in a society, over the course of time they create for themselves a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it. Well, I appreciate that person sending it to me, and maybe you'll give us some thought when we come back. It's interesting. I read it again. It says, when plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men in a society, over the course of time they create for themselves a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it. Well, 949-8037. If you can't call us on the toll-free line at 1-800-534-8255. You can also WhatsApp 925-3261. It's a Friday. Maybe like me, you joke and say, boy, this year has been the longest century ever. It's been an interesting, taxing, a difficult time. But despite the challenges, do we see opportunities ahead? Despite the growing level of fear that we're all probably sensing and feeling, I guess when our safety and security is threatened, perhaps that's the easiest way to control, manipulate, and otherwise, get people to do as you want. Well, do we see an opportunity to do even better, not just financially and make more money, but do better for our society and our people, for future generations, so that right now, as we age, that we'll have a safer, better society. But as our young folks come into their own, perhaps that newborn, as well as that newly minted professional, or that soon to be expected graduate, perhaps they can look with a great sense of hope and expectation. Is there something that we can do to move us forward, or are we still only seeing the negatives? All right, let's pause and go to our news. Or when we come back, we want you to be a part of a discussion. Again, you can call us toll free, 1-800-534-8255 or 949-8037. If you're listening and you got my other number, WhatsApp me, let me know that you're saying hello. Or you can call publicly. That will even be better. Stay tuned for Talk Today. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. It's open line here on this Friday edition of Talk Today, as we ask you to call and share your thoughts with us. Let's go straight to the phones. Hey, welcome. Thank you for calling.
Dear Sterling, number one, you Kingston.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm listening to you.
Oh, man, thank you very much, man. And Merry Christmas to you. Blessings for...
You didn't give me a chance yesterday to say to all of you.
Oh, I apologize for that. Sorry about that.
I gotta hold you for that one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look for a special Christmas present for that one. Santa, hope you're listening. Don't take off your suit.
Yeah, actually, I saw the new version of Santa recently. You say because of the global warming, he's running around in a Speedo.
Yeah, well, all right. I hope it's not you.
Oh, no. You can bleed out.
Dude, I heard you say something a while ago about where we're headed.
Yes, sir.
What I want to say about that is we are headed right down the road where the Bible said we are going to be going. It's happening day by day. The Bible is coming true, sir.
Yeah, it looks that way.
It's not going to all come true just in one day, but it's taking the time, and that's where we're heading, right down that lane.
Well, it seems like, we live in a time where right is being considered wrong and wrong is right. And it's interesting, the truth is a lie and a lie is true.
Tell me now. So that's why you mustn't believe anything I tell you.
I got to leave that one alone.
No, don't tell me that. I want you to know about it.
Yeah, man.
So that's like getting some hot water.
Well, you know what? Hot water, you put a bag of tea in it, or you put some...
No, just get him the loan hot water, clear throat. Because he always talking about you.
I hear you.
Just let me say one other thing for a good day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yesterday when you were talking to the doctor, what I was saying, which we couldn't answer back and ask and this and that because of the time. What I was saying, when you were saying about the injection now, we don't know much about it. What I was trying to say, as they keep going at it, like they do other medications, they go down the line each year, further down, they find out what it will do to hurt people, and they can take certain things out or tell certain people, look, you cannot have this medication.
Right. But what and I understand, as the science, evolves and they learn more about things, you're right, they can improve it, as they do with medicines we've seen in the past versus, new and better medicines today for the same ailment. But what if, something that you do now, let's say it's the injection, and it creates for that person irreversible negative health consequences that results in them living a lower quality of life, debilitating conditions, even death. I mean, for that person and that family, is that a risk and a cost that is worth it? Some would say yes,
Well, Dwayne, if you don't try it, how are you going to find out?
So then the joke then that we hear maybe not necessarily be a joke. What is it to say? Give it to the politicians and those who are proposing it. And if it's safe, then we're all safe. If it's not safe, it's still safe. I mean, like the doctor said, it's a level of risk tolerance that some of us are more risk averse. But is it that push and that sense of being forced that is making some people unnerved? Is it the sense of urgency and seemingly under the emergency provisions for approval that there's concern that maybe some of the standards are relaxed? I mean, is it that there's something else that making people a little bit more reticent?
Dwayne, if the public, whoever in the public don't want it, if they don't want it, I want to face the other,
right,
the problem, the disease then. Well, okay. Make them take it, and if the disease take them and they get sick and they die, well, that's it.
Right.
They pay their own price, their own way.
But then, if I then ask you then, and you're right, so give the people the choice to whether they want it or not. But what if someone says, and as the physician yesterday was sharing, what if someone says they don't want to take it, but as a consequence of not taking it, their movements are restricted. They can't come to Cayman, they can't travel to other places, or if they're in their own country, they can't do business. They can't go into some stores They can't go to football games and stadiums and concerts and church and school. I mean, what if it works out in practice that without the vaccine and some sort of proof of, as Dr. Lee called it, in the early days, an immunity passport?
They can be tested, let's say day before yesterday, and you want to go somewhere today, you carry your certificate that the doctor gave you.
Why? Is that what we're coming to? I mean, why not just put a chip in them and a leash around the neck and lead them straight? I mean, it is...
Don't forget what the Bible says now. It's going to happen.
Looks like it might be, so.
It is going to come to pass, sir. All these things you see happening now, they shall be diseases, incurable diseases. You see, no man has ever found a cure for AIDS yet.
Yep, but you see, in less than a year, we got a vaccine for a coronavirus.
Yeah, well, maybe they can soon start using other things to like what they're using for AIDS. You don't know. That's what I'm trying to say. They keep going down the years. They keep doing different things. Okay, see? Just take this tablet.
Right.
That's it.
Yes,
you don't
sir.
need to get 3 injections, 2 injections.
Well, then, it's the instances being reported that someone has had it more than once now, 2 or 3 times or the like.
And they had the injection?
No. I mean,
okay.
So if you can get it more than once, what is that you're vaccinating against? If it's an instance of, well, I don't know. It is a challenge, and I think it comes down again, as I've been hearing. It's unfortunate that leadership across the board in all the countries have been such of a poor quality that we have lost trust and confidence. The company sells you a 6 for a 9. It's sad. It is sad.
Well, Dwayne, I say this. If you some sort of disease you had before years ago, you could catch it twice and thing after it got inoculated and thing. That knocked it out. This one you got to get 2. Well, all right, after they prove it that it works and you don't catch it again, or maybe if you do catch it, they can work on another one to make sure you don't get it after you get that injection.
Right. But remember the doctor yesterday was sharing that, it would seem, and it's still early days as you shared, right? It would seem that if you get the vaccine, it may protect you, but it may not necessarily protect you from giving it to somebody else, right? So
if you don't have it, how are you going to give it to them?
No, but that's what they're starting to realize, that you get the person who gets the vaccine may have a better sense of protection against the ailment, but it doesn't necessarily protect them from transmitting the disease, if that's what it's called now, to somebody else.
How do you transmit it if you don't have it?
Well, you see, that's so new, so much things that are coming out. They talk about following the science, but you have to wonder if the politicians confusing what is being said.
Yeah, well, that's why I tell you sometimes when I listen to these things and I just sit down and think, even though half of my brain dead, I can still think.
Thank God for your willingness to think. Huh?
Listen here, I want to wish all of you at Radio came on, every one of you, and don't ever take this talk show off. Don't take off Country Classic, and don't stop through in the morning 6 o'clock. And stop talking about her. That's the last thing I'm going to sue you for that one.
All right, you have to do that then. All right.
You all have a good time and enjoy yourself and keep up with the good works, okay?
And to you, sir. Hope all the best. And we'll talk again soon, but enjoy the weekend. Merry Christmas to you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. In case you didn't know, I think the most popular on-air talent that we have is Susan. Without question. I mean, let's talk about Susan, baby. I say everyone. So she's, hails from the back and loved throughout all 3 islands. You have a final break to take, Miss Susan? Is that what you're telling me? I am Mr. Dolan. See, I mustn't talk about you, so I mustn't even call her name. So. But just in case you weren't quite sure what he was referring to, Country Classics, I guess Susan tell us. Comes on Saturday. Come on, after the break. Okay, she'll preview with us the Country Classics. I actually enjoy it too, but don't tell anybody. Stay tuned for Talk Today. Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for sharing with us. It is open line here on Friday. We were happy to go to the phones and welcome our callers. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Mr. Sterling.
Hi, Mom. Welcome back.
Welcome back. You know you did me a while ago. I know you know what you did me now.
Oh, what was that?
You could come on one caller later and in a few short words, there's the thing. You had the answer to your problem, but then you was torturing me now like you had liked me, chatting me up, making me feel important. And then when you come on with a very well-known adage, kisses goes by favor. You had know that all along.
Mm-hmm.
You had know that all along, right? That
Kisses go by favors, boy. Yeah, I heard that often.
That was the answer to that whole long conversation you had. It's a good thing that I was in favor. That is a 1-800 number. That was no 9 nothing. Because, oh boy, I will beat on you by the door. You had know that all along.
Oh, yeah.
I told people always say, that's right, kisses goes by favors. It's not more complicated than that. Very, very simple.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
I
had to get, I had to get that. You knew all along, and you made me feel so important.
Because you are.
I was glowing.
No, you are, man. You are.
Yeah. Say hello to Mr. Dolan for me, please.
I should actually go up there and carry him a special gift. You know? It would be nice to spend a...
Oh, God, you wouldn't be able to hold him down. You would have to tie him down.
You know.
But anyway, Mr. Dolan, happy Christmas and a good New Year.
Well, thank you, man.
Mr. Sterling, I ain't got no happy Christmas to you. Never again. Not even a good morning.
No? You see, I love my country. I love my people. I love my country and I love my people.
Not even a good morning. Imagine you had known it all along.
No, man, no. It just came to me, man.
You're not that old. You never know senior moment. He's a young bit of child.
Well, they say young, happy, healthy, and strapping, boy. I tell you what.
That's right. He's a young bit of child. Got no memory problems. Do that for me.
Yeah, man.
Go focus me in the conversation.
Wouldn't have them either, boy. We got to live long and healthy, right?
Yes, sir.
Amen.
Happy Christmas.
Blessings to you. Bye-bye. You know, this is a country that I genuinely love. I love the people here. I love the place in which we live. Share with you sometimes I do get frustrated that we seem to allow a lot of things to happen here that shouldn't. We don't hold people accountable that we should. Or we don't stand in the gap when we should. We don't step up, speak up, stand up, do the things. For different reasons. And sometimes when we say and do things for others, they question, why we're doing it then. But it comes back to something simple, If something is wrong and we do nothing about it, if not now, when, if not me, who? I hope that we get to a place where we understand the importance of, what truly is the measure of our wealth. Nothing wrong with having a lot of money in the bank, a lot of other tangible assets, whether it's gold, whether it's property. Hopefully, it's also valued in our health. But what about the society in which we live? Have we considered, and I pray it never comes to that, but what it would be like if we were in a restaurant with our family and our friends and we can't seem to sit there knowing that it's going to be a safe place. Not only from people coming in and robbing and potentially killing, but from the people preparing the food, that it's going to be prepared in a safe, loving way, or that the people delivering the food to them, to be prepared. Their purveyors, they've gone to and they bought the food so that they can prepare it in a restaurant to sell to the customers. It's strange, how in some places these things are taken for granted, perhaps as they should. But in some places, you've got the tester to make sure the food not only tastes good, but isn't poison. Now, it could be paranoia on the part of the partakers, but it could also be because it's the reality. But what about sitting on the beach, not being kidnapped, harassed? But what about attacked by some dog that was off the leash or just a wild dog roaming about? Sadly, we've seen reports in our own country where The neighbors reported that a dog has come into the yard and, created havoc, for the family. Sadly, injured or killed the family pets. Right? Things like that are not things that we should ignore. Now, what about out on our roads exercising, riding our bikes, walking, running, or maybe we're just out for a space because there are not that many public spaces. And we have some roads that are not too bad. We certainly spent a lot of money over the years in building infrastructure. But you're walking and a car mows you down, injures you, kills you. It happens sometimes as a result. It's an accident. Nobody intended for it to happen, despite what may have transpired. But is there a way to perhaps prevent it altogether from happening, or even seriously reducing the chances of it happening? For some of us, we don't think twice about it, and it only affects us when it affects us. Well, quality of life perhaps is a way we should measure the true value and worth in our society. The consideration we extend to our neighbors in relation to our activities in our own homes. We don't play our music too loud for, too late into the night or early hours in the morning. But if it's happening, maybe as a neighbor we're understanding and forgiving. Perhaps because the neighbor came over and said, listen, we're celebrating an anniversary or birthday. It's just a weekend and we want to celebrate. You're welcome to come over if you wish, but we're going to have it going on. And at some point, maybe we turn the music on. We don't need to turn our attention to call in the police to come in and do that. We should know ourselves. But if we do call the police, do they approach the situation in a very professional, sensible, civilized way, which is what I expect and understand is the case. But what if for some reason it isn't? They come with arms blaring and guns a-blazing and all sorts of stuff. What is the society like, and what is it becoming, and where is it heading? Well, it is Christmas, and maybe it's a good time to think and to be pensive, but as we talk to each other, as we look at ways of having more meaningful dialogue and discourse, that we're prepared to each be more responsible and accountable for our actions, but we're also willing to stand up, whether it's the highest office in the land or the highest position in the company, or it's the person who is in our minds, running the household, that we understand that it's about being respectful and responsible and who we are, what we're doing, where we're doing it. For many, it's with the second thought, and for others, it's pricks them in a way that they feel, oh, he's throwing punches. Nope, not at all. Just love this place, man. I love the fact that we can assemble even now where, sadly, many people can't. Whatever the justification, whether it's real or imagined, but we can go in our coffee shops and in our churches, so we can go into our schools and our homes. So let's not take it for granted. Maybe we do have time for another call, 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. It's a Friday afternoon. Fridays I like, Mondays I like, every day I'm a part of. I'm grateful for it. 1-800-534-8255, or toll-free call if you wish to make it, or 949-8037. Either way, if you call and we can hear from you, well, glad to take the call. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yes, good afternoon, Dwayne.
Good afternoon, Mom. Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, and all the best to you and your whole family.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Including your parents, beloved parents.
Indeed, indeed.
Thank you. I just want to make one comment, and I'm going to hang up. Because I know you're out of time. But anyway, I think that what Mr. Billy, his last name,
Simbango?
Yeah. The gentleman that just called today on the show and had a good conversation.
Right.
I think he has been a blessing to the Cayman Islands. And he's one of them brave Daniels, brave to be a Daniel, dare to stand alone. I think we're so blessed to have had someone like him come amongst us and provide such valid and truthful information. Those of us that may not be as knowledgeable as he is, and to be so brave as he is And I think he has the interest of Caymanians and Cayman at heart, especially the generational Caymanians, I would say. And I just want to say thank him for the comments that he put on Facebook a few days ago, what Cayman has come to and is coming to. So I'd just like to end with that. If we all would stop, pause, and listen and watch and see where we were before and where we are now and where we're headed for and what we have become, I think some of us will become a little braver and be able to speak out like Billy and not be afraid. You know, there are few, but they're too few. They're, I think, you know, less than a handful. So I just like to comment on that. It's very refreshing when he speaks. With the love and pride he has for Cayman and Caymanians. So I'd just like to end with that. But thank you, Billy, if you're listening. I do appreciate everything you do and speaking out against the unfairness of this country and speaking out for us that may not be able to. Thank you. And thank you, Dwayne, again for allowing me to say these few words.
Well, thank you, too, for taking the time and, as you recognize, you know, sharing it with us, but having the courage and conviction to do likewise. So, Merry Christmas to you. And it's very wonderful that you were able to at least publicly share your appreciation. Sometimes people do things and not for anything other than it's the right thing to do, but it's good to be encouraged and, you know, given a little bit of a nurturing support. So.
I know we that do this, we take a chance because we can be vindictive, our children, our family. That is a real thing, Dwayne. That's the reason why not more Caymanians are speaking out, because they fear of losing their lives, they fear of losing their family, they fear of losing their jobs and their opportunities that we should be able to celebrate as Caymanians that built this country. And, you know, some of those that come here really don't appreciate it. They only like what they can get and what they can have and what they can dominate. That's all. They don't have the interests of Caymanians at heart. We see who their interest lies in, and we can see it, and hopefully we won't be blinded. But I'm so sorry for our generation now that are coming up. They're so brainwashed in such negative things that it's all we can do is to pray, and don't be afraid to speak out. We have to do it. We just have to do it. Okay, then.
Thank you. Thank you, too. All right. Well, as the caller says, you know, you dare to be a Daniel. Are you prepared to stand in the gap and do the right thing, because this is the right thing to do? Well, I invite you to have a very festive, enjoyable weekend. Please, with the greatest of respect and love, please be safe and sensible as you move about. You know, share your love and fellowship with each other, but come back to be able to tell us all about it. So we don't want you to cause any injury to you or to others. We know people get caught up in the moment and all sorts of things can happen. That's why they call it an accident. You didn't plan for it. But there are things that we can do to reduce the chances of that happening. And as simple and sensible as it may sound, well, if you had a couple of drinks, you know, don't get behind the wheel. And if you're feeling a certain way, well, you know what, maybe there's a way to make sure that you don't cause any challenges for yourself or others. Perhaps that's enough for today of me pontificating, as Susan would say. I invite you to join us again Monday for more Talk Today, right after the midday news and midday meditation. God's willing, the plan is that I'll sit here and have a discussion. Very, very grateful to Mr. Loxton Banks. Hopefully you can join us, as he's prepared a lot, and we can get a share with you come Monday. Until then, be blessed.